Welcome to On the Edge with Deneen and Enrico of Botkeeper. What we'd like to talk with you about today, and Enrico, thank you for joining me, is to talk about Botkeeper's new BOSS platform. And what does BOSS stand for?
The Botkeeper operating system.
And why do we call it Botkeeper operational system? I love that you named it BOSS, but really, what to you, what does it mean?
BOSS is the abbreviation for Boston, and that's where we're headquartered.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm always learning something new.
I'm kidding. We named it that because when you think about your iPhone, you've got hardware, infrastructure, and then you have this operating system on it that's supposed to make the use and facility of applications, performance, the thing that you need to get done, act in a very seamless, easy way, and ultimately mesh all the things together, a unified experience. And that's what we think of when we think of Botkeeper. Like, the goal was to build this one unified experience that had the feature set, the tools, the processing, everything that you would need to do bookkeeping and CAD services for your client in a single experience that would be easy to use.
And I think with Botkeeper, we talk a lot about machine learning and the bots. That is one part of what you get with Botkeeper. We also talk about the talent. You got the tech, you got the talent. But I feel like we don't talk about the power of the platform enough. And firms really struggle when you have 10 clients, 20 clients, 100 clients to manage all of these hundreds of clients that you're adding, right? And so that's where the platform is super important. It's such an additional value that Botkeeper brings.
Yeah, I mean, I lived it. I had a cloud accounting practice, and the apps are great, but like the iPhone again, there's an app for everything. And unfortunately, having a dozen apps actually doesn't make your life any easier or simpler. It actually adds complexity. And each app is its own siloed data set. They don't totally integrate with each other. Maybe they integrate with the GL, but those integrations break. And they're definitely not talking between each other. And so the dirty secret in accounting is everything runs off of and lives in some giant Google sheet somewhere or Excel file that tells you your client's name, which platforms they're on, or what apps they're using, who the accountant is that's supporting that, who's the controller that's reviewing them, what the frequency of bill pay is, like the whole gamut. And inevitably that Excel sheet falls out of sync because it's manually updated. You have a bunch of Bill.com or QBO licenses that you're paying for clients that you don't even have anymore, or have left you. And BOSS was built to get rid of all that noise. If you could give the functionality, and like I tell everyone, 99% of Excel users use 1% of Excel, and like we weren't going to be able to like recreate or do everything that every one of the other apps did. But if we could build the core functionality and then make it better by fully integrating it, if the transaction could come off the bank account and have something attached to it and commentary right on it, and could trigger a task that was associated with it, and when you opened or did the task, like it zeroed itself out and it booked the entry, and everything was fully integrated, that experience would outweigh any incremental features that one of the individual apps have.
Okay. Well, and so BOSS is our next second phase platform.
Version 2.0 of Botkeeper.
But there's more to come.
Yes.
So, and well, first let's talk about what's new within BOSS that firms or users are loving so much.
So we rethought the concept of tasks entirely. And so for me, I never liked task management systems. It's a nice digital way to organize things that you need to do. But if you think about it, like task tools are pretty basic. You have to create a task, one. You have to manually set the reminder, the time frame that it needs to be done. You have to enter what needs to be done, a description potentially. You're lucky if you can out of the box template it, maybe. And then one day that task appears, you go to it, you read it, you leave the task tool, you go to the thing or the tool or the app or the GL or wherever you need to go to do the task itself, and then you have to remember to come back into the task tool, check it off, complete, and move on to the next. And I can't tell you how many unchecked tasks live in people's inboxes. And so we said, well, what would be the ideal workflow? And when we thought about workflow and tasks, the concept of what if the thing you have to do the task itself lived in the task? And what if the tasks were automatically created for you based on situational awareness or events that were occurring with a given client? And you can do that with machine learning and AI. You can understand nuances and then automatically surface the next task that needs to be done based on something that was done prior. And then what if you could take it to the next level? Like in the task itself was the thing you need to do. Review a journal entry. It shows you in the GL the journal entry you need to review. Upload a document. You upload that document or multiple docs, and it puts them in the right folder where they need to be, so they're not lost, or the organization of data becomes so much easier. Or it could, simply be to reconnect a bank account, and you reconnect it or re-authenticate the password. It connects, and every single time after the task was performed or completed, the task automatically checks itself off or zeroes it out and moves you on to the next. So tasks was definitely a big thing. Other big things in the Botkeeper operating system were even just like the organization, visibility of the tasks, like understanding which task for what clients, which user has outstanding tasks, how the users are performing, like is task completion rates getting better by a certain day in the month, or are they declining? Like are your staff overworked, or did something happen that caused people to fall behind? You have the integrated document storage with predefined folder structures. So while we all like to be creatives, the reality is like accounting is better if organized. I mean, that's what a GL is organization of data. So it makes sense that the supporting documents are also in a structured, organized manner. And we take the guesswork out of that for you. Yeah, which is really big. And having, once again, it integrated with the task is having you upload the document, and where it goes is being programmatic and automatic. Also in Boss is Smart Connect, so connecting to tens of thousands of banks and financial establishments, and pulling that data in and automatically fetching statements and having them already there and available for you, allowing you to query or look through transactions right from within the system, never leaving, never going to a bank account, never having to download a statement. And we have the same challenges with that others do, which is sometimes those connections break, but it's the bank. At the end of the day, it's not us. Like we do the best that we can to give as many connections and as much uptime as possible. And I think we're doing a really good job. We made a lot of improvements there. Also, you have password management. So once again, one less tool that you have to log in. And so much of this stems from communication too. If you think about the workflow with your client, you spend a lot of time communicating requests or items that get lost in an inbox somewhere, they get buried in a thread. But if you go into a tool that they give you a password for and it's not working, how nice would it be to just click a button that tells the client to update the password? You click one button, update password, or check connection. And the client, your client, gets a notification. They go, they test it, they update, they're like, oh yeah, I changed my email. They enter it and they click done. And now the passwords, there's no exchanging confidential private info and emails, which you shouldn't be doing. Same thing with a bank account. If the bank account connection breaks, you can notify the client right within it. You can comment on a transaction that you want the client's feedback on. They can click the chart of account, drop down, and actually click marketing events versus telling you marketing, and you have to ask them like, is it travel events, what have you. So it's just the communication simplified. And then you have task manager, which manages all the transaction manager, which manages all transaction exceptions. So our machine learning, listen, with the new operating system with Boss, a third of all transactions that hit the bank account will autonomously, fully autonomous, without a human eye on it, get booked instantly into the GL at a 99.42% accuracy. I mean, that's
major.
Human error is 5%.
But where do you think we're going to go with that? Third now.
So it's a third now. I expect in the next couple months probably be in the 60s. I guess is like 60, 67%. Like early testing is basically showing just the more data that pipes through it. So new users are getting rolled out on Boss. As more users get deployed, new and existing, we should see that jump drastically. And the curve, I mean, it's just like going like this. So maybe one day we get into the 80s, which would be really nice. But that's like, you're talking real-time accounting now, weekly accounting or daily accounting. Like this is instantaneous accounting. And that's progressing us to a rolling close. Like no such thing as a monthly close.
Instant close. Yeah.
But you can't do it if you can't get the data in, right? Like it all comes down to data processing.
Right.
And coming soon, we'll have automated journal entries.
This is coming soon. Now the box has been launched.
Yes.
You have visions of what some next stage.
I mean, it's pretty much already built, and it just needs to ship, which my guess is in like probably the next couple months. Journal entries, I think, will ship arguably actually next month, and then in a few months we'll have practice insights. But so KISS Excel sheet journal entry schedules goodbye. With Boss, you now enter the key variables, call it the debt schedule, the prepaid, fixed assets, what have you. And we build the schedule out for you automatically, and then we sync and make that entry every single time into the GL, QuickBooks Xero, hopefully soon Intact. And we're booking that. And the best part is we'll surface up insights for you on those schedules. So we'll show you what the blended interest rate is across all the loan schedules and what's been paid and what's outstanding. Insights that will allow you to better advise your client on consolidating debt, on paying this loan off first, and holding back on maybe payments to that one, allowing you to truly be the advisor. And then practice insights is one step further, which is how do we give you and your firm more insights into your practice to better manage, run it, operate it. So think understanding how many of your clients were closed by the 15th or the 10th or the 5th of this month. How many are outstanding? Are any clients like multiple months behind on a closing? And more often than not, it's not the firm, it's not us, it's the client isn't providing the data. So servicing up that information, telling you how many transactions have been autonomously processed, telling you, how many errors have been found, because we have software that audits. It's not doing a financial audit, but it's auditing the books periodically through the month to find transactions with the highest probability of being a mistake or needing correction. So we'll surface up to you how many transaction errors you've had, what the processing of tasks has been. Like, are you flying through task processing now, or is it on the decline? What's your capacity look like? What is your savings? What's the ROI on the investment? Just a ton of data, and then you actually can click into the data and click at the client level and then see the same kind of data at the client's level. So get better insights into your client, like how many closes have been on time, what's the average transaction volume that you're processing, what's their average monthly expenses, like just a lot of data that's going to empower you to have better convos with your clients.
When do we think this is coming?
I'd say probably in Q3, if not early Q4.
Wow.
Yeah, though that's why I'm talking about, I've learned not to talk about things that, may not ship this year, but so I try to talk only about the ones that are coming very, very soon.
So that's for 2022, but what is your vision for 2023?
So I want Botkeeper to be your core operating system. I think firms leave a lot of business on the table because they have to standardize, and you only standardize to increase efficiency and to maximize the capacity of your current team. If you could not have to standardize on one GL, why not support QuickBooks Xero and Intact? Because each platform has its advantages. The client's going to probably bring it to you. You don't have to go through the headache of migration. The migration is one more opportunity for you to potentially frustrate the client and make a mistake. Any migration is a difficult thing to do. But if you could just teach your team one system to use to do the processing, and the GL becomes an archive of accurate data, then you can support any GL you want, and you just have to standardize on one Botkeeper operating system. Yeah. And so we want to add more and more tools and features and functionality to our platform. And those things are going to include what I call insights. So we have practice insights, but then building on that is client insights. So if I can tell you, hey, something weird has happened in your client, their cash on hand dropped drastically, or their margins have dipped, or and the AI is not always going to get it right. So the goal is to serve it up to you, not the client. And when I say you, the accountant, the firm, and let you decide what makes sense. Because let's say we identify an opportunity for the client to get a loan, and what if we could even get that loan pre-approved because we're sitting on the financial data. anonymously pass, certain data to a bank and then get the approval and send it back. And only if the client said, yes, I want to go forward with it, would either party know who the other party was. So you keep it fully anonymous. But maybe you don't want your client to know that they have an opportunity to get debt, because you understand the client, you understand that debt is probably a bad thing. Like, they're not going to spend it in the right way. Like, so our goal is to serve up the insights to you, let you edit, tweak them, and then decide what goes to the client. And if we can turn advisory into a semi-automatic, like, you get to tweak and then hit send, and they get a nice little note. And you can do this spontaneously or periodically, like, without having to pick up the phone. Correct. Because it's going to have a human element. I mean, you're going to tweak certain things. Like I said, you're going to delete some of the insights that we push to you. So insights, I think, is going to be really cool. Other tools to assist with cash flow and forecasting. Our benchmark, we're building up a very large data set. Yes. So, and then making that data set available. I think we're going to try to leave the data set as open and available to the firm, so that your advantage is what you do with the data. So we'll build certain things, but like, try to set it up so that what's going to distinguish you from one firm to the next is how you've decided to look at the data and display the data, and what data you think matters to your client. That's the distinction on the advisory level. Yeah, because the processing is going to be compliance and just standard.
That's our buyer. We talk to firms, we ask them why, and accountants why they've started embracing Botkeeper. The number one thing they say is they want to push down the work to us to move their talent to be more advisory, as well as capacity. That's the other thing that we hear is firms are capacity, they need help. There's more business that they can manage. And so exciting things to come.
Yes, very exciting.
Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you.
Thanks. Voila.